welcome to another episode of Forum Crashers, the internet advice show for all the forums we weren't invited to. My name is Steve. I am your host, and I'm here with Gerald.
I am Gerald, and I am not invited.
Yeah, this time around, we've maximized our punch cards. We now have to pay for admission, and we snuck in. That's usually how I get into most events these days. Moving right along, thanks for tuning in. We like to creep around on the forums, mostly the Reddit forums, to see what kind of questions people are asking, and then without giving them really an answer, we come to YouTube and to Twitch to answer it there. All the questions have been paraphrased, so let's jump right into it.
Off the cuff, let's go.
Yes, the first one is from Darth Cluck. He says, or she says, how do I capture/detain my party without hurting player morale? Sounds like you've tried this before.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think you have to consider the story reasons. You can't always account for morale staying the same. No one likes to have their character captured. So consider, one, the importance of having them captured and how long you have them captured. What are their possibilities of escape? Because even though something happens that they don't like, if they can bring it back around, if by their own power, their own decisions or ingenuity, they're able to face this challenge and overcome it, then you can consider it like many other challenges. If don't put them in a no-win situation. I think Darth here, like some other folks, I think we've all had that point where it's like, wouldn't it be cool to do a jailbreak, right? I think that's part of the problem. Like you're saying, look at the story. I think a lot of DMs want that to be the story. You're in prison, you got to get out. There's a certain allure to that. I can definitely understand. Don't cheese it, if that's parlance that's still used these days. Don't make it so forced that the characters don't have any say in it. They just wake up one day and they're in prison. Well, you can do that.
Does happen.
If you
that does happen.
It does. If you make a good reason as to why that would happen. As a matter of fact, Baldur's Gate 2, that's an old classic isometric CRPG based on D&D isometric video game. Anyway, it was a really fantastic game. The Baldur's Gate, you play through, when you start 2, you're imprisoned. You fell asleep, you're waylaid, and you wake up. So you can do that as long as it's you come up with a jumping off point, like there's a reason why they're there. You have to discover why it is, who it is that did it. In that particular case, it was a particularly powerful NPC who rightly had the ability to do that to your character, and had good reasons for wanting to do it to the character. And as long as you're revealing pieces of information, so it doesn't feel like it's just forced and for no reason, just for like a metagame, sort of like, I just want to have my characters do this, the players in my game have to deal with this, come up with good reasons for it.
Here's a twist. What if the idea isn't that you're getting captured or detained, you are choosing to be captured or detained? Let's say there's a high value target in prison that someone wants you to go assassinate.
That's a beautiful twist. Yeah, you can make him, if you give a story reason that they would want to give themselves up willingly to get into the prison.
Yeah. Options there. Another one would be, put it in your back pocket. Like I would say, just about every campaign that I've done, I have some idea as to what the jail cell is going to look like. So if it happens, right? What I have in mind is, and I'm hopefully no spoilers here on our own podcast, is that if there's a combat that goes on where maybe a character gets downed, gets taken out, and it's looking pretty grim for the rest of the players, maybe there's down to one person who's still conscious, is that all the enemies close in and there's really no choice. They either flee, and the other two characters get hauled off and thrown in prison, or something like that. some options there, but if you try to force it, it's going to feel forced, and there's nothing worse than that.
That's true. If you present the imprisonment as a positive alternative to character death, that's looking more like an upside.
Yeah, I would say so. But then again, you have games like Grand Theft Auto where there's really no penalty for prison or death. You just start back on the road.
Or many other things.
And you start beating the hell out of the first person you see. Moving right along, this is by far my favorite name to date. This is from Haggis Man.
All right.
His superpower involves haggis. What is one game feature mechanic you wish was in every game? A feature or mechanic you wish was in every game. Just, again, calling back to the podcast, I really like the Uno rule. This is probably a little different than what he meant, but if you roll a critical failure, just a miss, last person to say Uno, I know that's completely screwed up. For whatever reason, I like it.
It's an interesting question, because I don't know if I love messing around with playing with mechanics, altering mechanics for my games. I've been doing it since I've played and DM'd. I have to say, modularity, the ability to tweak the system so that it can be customizable for character progression, and you can make it work for you. And that sounds general, I know, but every edition, like from second edition up, I had a little bit of experience in second edition, but I always wanted to be able to change things quickly and easily to make them work better for my campaign and my players' ideas for how everything should work.
For instance,
I'm actually working on something called Advanced Options for 5th edition that kind of unlocks the character progression so that you don't just have to choose a particular class at a level. There's a couple of approaches I have, and I'm going to release this for everyone on the DM's Guild sometime soon. But it allows you to take features out of order, so you can multi-class easier, and really whatever concept you have for your character, you're not really locked into bad choices. That's less of an issue with the way spellcasting is improved for multi-classing in 5th edition than it was, say, 3rd edition. But I've always had players who've had a lot of interesting ideas and ways they want to go with their characters. But you really the system just doesn't quite fit with the way you have to get your classes, or the fact that you're only getting a new feature every few levels. When you're progressing, when you have a constant progression and you're always getting something cool and new for your character, something you want and that fits with your ideal for the character. That's what I like to have for my games, a consistent and rewarding character progression.
Absolutely. On that note, I don't know why I like this so much, but the very first Diablo, the very first one, I love the fact that, especially on lower level play, any character could pick up a spell book and learn that spell. Obviously, you had to have the high enough magic level and cap earlier for the other players, but I thought it was so cool that, like, as a rogue or as the my brother always played I don't know what they call them, warriors or barbarians or whatever it was.
The first Diablo,
yeah. I mean, like we were both using some spells to help dish out some damage. I thought that was cool, and I mean, honestly, there's ways to do it, multi-classing and things like that, but making it accessible, whether it's scrolls or whatever it may be, to kind of just get some more variety on the field. Kind of what you're talking about, but also completely different. Just one of those old things.
They're related. They're cousins.
Yes. Very closely related cousins.
Too close to get married. Legally.
We just want to make that distinction. In case you were wondering. And in case you were wondering, maybe this is something you've been thinking about. If the family tree starts to twist back in on itself,
taper.
It's too close. If you're sitting down and you're doing your wedding invitations and you realize that you're both writing the same names, too close. Different kind of advice show now. What other questions would you have for?
Yeah, we'll give you advice on anything, relationships.
I'm probably the worst guy to ask. I'm literally the worst guy to ask. But we do appreciate you tuning in and checking this out. We play every Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. It's Myths and Mystics at Twitch at Mystic. At either, you get the idea. Go to Twitch.
Do that.
Or go to mythsandmystics.com. Everything's on there. It's easy to find. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. We'll see you next time.